story this morning. Bombshell developments in the case for holding U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder in contempt of Congress. Congressman Darrell Issa filing new papers to Congress on the Fast and Furious investigation. We gave you a sneak peek at the top of the hour of all of this, and now Congressman Issa himself joins us here to lay out his case. Congressman Issa, welcome. Good to have you in the studio today.
Well, it's good to be in the studio, and particularly on something that's gone on so long that the American people are not getting answers they deserve on.
Talk to me a little bit about what's in this contempt filing and how much support you have both on your committee and in the larger Congress.
Well, the American people have been supportive. This is an issue that won't go away till they get answers. The Terry family obviously has been supportive because they couldn't get so much as an apology, much less an answer in more than a year. Our leadership has been supportive of our investigation all along the way. Even Eric Holder, when he came before the committee, said our hearing was fair and promised to get us answers that haven't happened. The documents that we sent out to our committee members today, 17 pages laying out sort of, I don't want to say dumbed down, but an abbreviated understanding of how we got to where we are and what isn't answered. And then, you know, in total over 60 pages, because it takes about 48 pages to lay out all the things that are subject to contempt if we cannot get compliance and discovery on behalf of the American people.
You know, you've been talking to us about this, talking to a lot of people about this over the months, and William Lajeunesse has been, you know, on this story since the very beginning. It feels like you had the basis for this contempt charge for quite some time now. You've talked about documents that you didn't get, how long you've been waiting for them. So why not move forward more quickly on it?
Well, you have to be reluctant when you're working with the administration to say we've come to the end. But we've gotten to that point where it's clear they're not going to give us the documents, that they've sort of closed up and covered up the people they now want to protect. I mean, ultimately, when U.S. Attorney Burke left, it was pretty obvious that he was integrated into this in a discreetly predictable way. But as we look up the chain and we realize that people, at least in Eric Holder's offices, were informed and involved, and yet we can't get the kind of discovery. And Martha, one of the other ones, and this is laid out in all these pages that are online and available to the public now, after February 4th, when we were lied to, both in writing and eventually in live testimony by the Justice Department, 10 months went by before they admitted that they had lied to Congress. They won't give us any documents related to that cover-up. False statement and cover-up.
I want to talk to you about the timing of all that in a minute, but first of all, there's been some speculation, I guess, about whether or not John Boehner is on board with this plan, whether or not he wants to see this contempt filing go forward. Does he? Is he on board?
Martha, I don't want to see the contempt filing. John Boehner doesn't want to see it. Eric Cantor doesn't want to see it. We want to have the American people get the answers. One of the reasons that I sent this out to my committee members and that I want it to be public is we want compliance on behalf of the American people, the fair discovery and accountability. In case of GSA, we were 10 months late. American people, though, saw some reaction a few weeks ago. In this case, it's an older situation, been on the public scene for a long time. We're running out of patience, but we're not beyond the point of saying, if you'll just give us what we should have, as the American people should have.
It seems unlikely that anything's going to come forward.
If they don't, then I have the support of leadership to do what we have to do. But we're not doing it because we want to. We're doing it because Congress has a role.
We're just getting some information that the DOJ has come forward with some kind of response to this, and Bill has that in front of him now, and then we'll get your reaction to that.
Just taking this from Washington, from the Department of Justice. It says the department continues to comply with committee information requests. Would note that the Attorney General has testified no less than 7 times in the last year and a half. Keep in mind, too, it writes the type of information not released is the type that departments historically do not release, because it argues it would politicize and or jeopardize ongoing criminal investigations and prosecutions. Some of that we have heard before. Congressman Issa, how do you react to that?
Well, Bill, we laid it out so that anyone can understand the areas of noncompliance do not particularly include any ongoing criminal investigations. What we laid out, for example, if you lie to Congress and then you cover up the lie, that's not supposed to be covered, hasn't been covered, can't be covered.
I got to ask you one more question, though. In terms of timing, it seems like, to some extent, both sides are very aware that there's a presidential election coming up. Eric Holder has said that nobody would be fired in Fast and Furious until the investigation that they were doing was thorough and complete and finished, and that will not happen until after the November election. What is your timing, and how is there any political hope on your side to influence the possible release of Eric Holder from his duties anywhere near the time of November in the election.
Well, I met with the new Inspector General for Treasury, for Justice, and he promised me swift action, even though his predecessor has stalled for about a year before she left. If Eric Holder's telling us that they're not going to have answers till after the election, that would be like Nixon saying we'll release the tapes in 50 years. Ultimately, the time has come and passed for them to tell us how we were misled.
I understand,
and
but you have said that you won't file these, that you're sort of giving them one more chance. What's your drop-dead date for the documents that you want?
Well, if Attorney General's answer, we've given you all we're going to give you, then the drop-dead date is immediate. If there's any real compliance, then we would look forward to continuing to evaluate that material. But understand, people, including Lanny Breuer, in this office of the Attorney General, clearly knew a lot, were involved, and we can't get answers, and particularly when it comes to the false statement made before Congress and then not taken back for 10 months. We want to know who knew about it and continued to have a lie before Congress exist for 10 months, because the American people were told there was no gun walking for those 10 months.
I understand. Congressman Issa, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Obviously, I'll be following this very closely. We'll see you soon, sir.
And
Thank
more
you.
reaction.